everybody, and welcome to Need More Info, a podcast exploring the worlds of movies, video games, TV shows, anime, all the Comic Con stuff, which is basically how today is going to go. It is an insane amount of news we have had this last week, people. It's been absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, I'm so glad to be back again for another lovely week with you all. Hopefully you enjoyed our boys review and spoiler discussion, which we actually released on Tuesday or Wednesday. We're just trying to figure out the days on that now. But honestly, it's really glad to have everyone back. It's nice and actually cool here in the UK this week. It's actually been not too bad. And obviously, this is going to be the San Diego Comic Con episode. And usually we do the news section, we do the topic section, but we actually could only probably cover about a quarter of the amount of news that came out of San Diego Comic Con because it was absolutely insane. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But before I get into that, people, I got to welcome back my co-host today, and that's Chaz and James. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Not a huge amount to talk about for me. I've been enjoying not melting as the weather's getting cooler. Also been, in terms of games we've been playing, a lot of Elden Ring still grinding my way to victory. I am determined to beat that game, being the first Souls game that I can actually don't entirely suck at. I do suck at it, but not enough that I can't proceed.
I'll say this, man, like, I haven't even played it. I got to a certain boss, and I was like, I got to halfway through, I was like, yeah, oh god, what have I done? And I'm like, no, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I got 144 hours, 134 hours in, and we know people who've done 300 plus hours. I've read someone's got over like 1,000 hours in that game, and I don't even know how.
I feel like that's pretty good for you and Souls-likes, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, it is pretty much. But yeah, Chaz, how about yourself, man?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I like the little sing-song you gave us at the start there. That was nice.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, I finally started on Stranger Things season 4.
Ooh.
At the end of that first episode, what the fuck?
How many seasons? How many films is that season?
Oh, I don't know. We're probably like 15 or something.
Every episode seems to be like a film.
Yeah. Well, the first episode is pretty good, and what the fuck at the end bit.
Yeah, this is why I've said to people, like, the previous seasons, you could watch it with your maybe 10, 12-year-olds, but this fourth season, okay, let me put it this way. The previous seasons gave a shit about the teenagers a lot. This season, they don't give a fuck at all. And yeah, you could definitely tell that this season has the budget now. Like, well, the budget it's got a rumored $300 million budget. You'll see later on, but yeah, that end of that first episode. Oh yeah, have you fallen in love with Eddie yet?
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm starting. Although, again, end of the first episode, like, I feel like he's traumatized. I don't know what he's going to do now.
Yeah, we won't go into that too much because I think we'll definitely be doing a spoiler discussion for people when everyone finally gets through that. See, for me, I'm a masochist, and I just like to get through that stuff as quickly as possible, especially when my family's ahead of me watching it. I think, yeah, I'm definitely behind in that. But yeah, people, it's great that you finally started watching that, dude. Obviously, for myself, in this past week, I've been playing Stray. I've almost finished that game now. All the mods are coming out for that now. You've got a Garfield mod. You've got a mod that replaces the meow with Jason from Heavy Rain, and I'm like, oh, it's just so funny. It's a really fun game so far. It's not that complicated. I could see the simplicity in it. I'd actually would have liked customizable cats, but I know.
Nice, yeah.
I know someone's actually working on doing customizable cats for people for the PC version, actually, commissioning that. So it'd be really, have your own cat in the game, which I think is a pretty interesting, lucrative field. I've heard it's done very well in the Steam charts as well. But yeah, no, that's been really fun. Just been catching up on a load of shows, and really the Comic-Con stuff has taken up pretty much all of my weekend because I ended up staying up till 2:30 in the morning.
Oof.
Not watching the Marvel panel because it wasn't live.
Reading about it.
Well, I actually ended up watching a YouTube channel reacting to the Marvel panel live until 2:30 in the morning because those time zones, baby, it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
I guess we'll get into that a lot later.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, people. But yes, it's very good to have you guys back today. Obviously, it's very awesome to have all you lovely people coming back to listen to us today. So, with that, obviously, with NMI, what we tend to do is we, as mentioned before, we do our news topics, we do our topics after the news and everything. And last week, we actually had a very interesting conversation with the three of us here, our favorite unique games or unique game mechanics within them. And that was very interesting responses we had in regards to that. Very interesting responses.
Yeah, it's nice to just talk about my absolutely obscure random stuff that I enjoy.
And I'm kind of glad I caught you off guard with the portal thing, which I still think's funny. Because I actually did expect that from you, to be honest. I don't know why. I just kind of expected that.
I've not played it much, to be honest. Like, it was it's one of those ones that's passed me by. But yeah, good pick.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, thanks. But yeah, people definitely go check that out. That was episode 28. And obviously, when you're listening to this, people, this is episode 30. We've reached the 30 mark now, people. We're almost at our midlife crisis point. We'll obviously get to that point a bit later on, and we'll be getting to 50 eventually. But we'll get there down the line. But yes, people, as mentioned before, we won't be doing a topic this week. The topic is the San Diego Comic Con because we got the Marvels, the DCs, the Star Treks, everything coming out. So, how do you guys feel about hopping into all that juicy, geeky goodness?
Slightly intimidated, but there's a lot to cover, and there's a lot of cool stuff that's been revealed and been spoken about. So yeah, should be good to go through it.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Let's get to it. Let's get to it, people. Right. So I think we need to literally just start off with the powerhouse that just dropped everything, and that is Marvel. Like, they didn't really show much to the public. I know that during obviously they had their live panel and they had a whole bunch of reveals. So they've obviously announced that this saga is now called the Multiverse Saga, which I think is interesting. I'm wondering what the next one's going to be. A lot of people are wondering, will the next one be called the Mutant Saga? But yeah, no, obviously with the amount of like news they brought out, they showed us the entire timeline for Phase 5, which is only 2 years. And then Phase 6, which is only 1 year, which is insane because Phase 1 to 3 was 11 years, I want to say, 11, 12 years, I want to say, almost. 2008, 2019. So quite a long time. And now we're only getting, 2021 to 2026.
You say that though, but it feels like the amount of content is going to be the same, even though it's a shorter time period. Because, well, everyone's been saying that Marvel's just been absolutely spamming out stuff recently. It looks like that's going to continue.
I mean, they have said the amount of content in this last phase alone before we finish it has been all the previous phases combined.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a bit insane. Like I do like what they're doing. I'm really excited about the multiverse stuff, but I am worried about them, just spamming people too much. Like, I'm at the stage where I just watch what's interesting to me. Perhaps that's kind of what the most people do now these days with it.
I do have concern about potential burnout with Marvel properties because of how much they're putting out there. I mean, I already know people who won't watch the new Doctor Strange movie purely because they haven't seen WandaVision, which is a whole TV show that they need to watch, but they feel they need to watch beforehand. And I feel if they are going to make their movies in a way which makes people feel that they need to watch the TV series in order to understand the movie, then I don't think that's good for Marvel going forwards.
So, I mean, Nate, you could probably speak to this, but it feels like certain things tie in together quite closely and certain things stand on their own, and that seems to be their strategy.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think the one issue people have had with Phase 4 so far, it's felt a bit disconjointed. Whereas with the previous seasons, it always felt like there was an end goal or an end game, as you would say, basically, And with this phase currently, it feels like that's been going on. Now, I know it's been discussed that this phase is about grief and, trying to come out of Endgame, because it was pretty traumatizing how Endgame was for a lot of people. Like, everyone that came back, there was I would have loved a series of Marvel where it was the people who came back, just no superheroes, just adjusting to life. They lost their homes, they're new families now, a nice drama piece, and like the lives of people that are affected by the blip. Call it the blip.
I would love to see that too. Yeah, I feel like the idea of the snap or the blip, what you want to call it, was really interesting, and like there's a lot, like it affected the whole world, the whole universe. There's just so much they could have explored there.
Well, yeah, because obviously Monica Rambeau came back. Her mum passed away within the blip from cancer. You have Captain America during the blip. He had a trauma group that he was running. Natasha Romanoff pretty much threw herself away from the world, and Wakanda actually took a standing point from the looks of it during the which that was an interesting point. So yeah, obviously going off of our lists here, so obviously going off the timeline, they revealed a ton in Phase 6. So obviously we're going to be getting in Phase 5. We're going to be getting. So actually, let's finish with Phase 4. We'll come back to Phase 4 mainly in a minute. Obviously, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is the final film of Phase 4, and that trailer pretty much, we'll get back to them. It sums up. Looks like an epic conclusion to that phase, and it'll be very interesting to see. But Phase 5 will start with, which is very interesting to me, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So this is actually going to be having Kang the Conqueror. So obviously, if you know Loki, spoilers for Loki, a form of him is introduced in that in that show when they go, wait till I'll see you again soon. Now they did show footage from this. Shows them going into the quantum realm. Obviously, it shows Cassie Lang, Scott's daughter, who is Stature in the comic books, actually going into the quantum realm with Johnny Van Dyne, I believe, as well. MODOK is going to be around now, if you know MODOK from the comic books, the big head with the tiny arms and the tiny legs, which is interesting to see how they'll pull that off. But there's a line in the trailer I saw that basically says, Kang going to Ant-Man, "Are you an Avenger? Have I killed you before?" That line alone to me goes, oh, okay then, that's interesting. Because obviously, Loki dealt with timelines and, all this. Does that mean Kang has dealt with the Avengers multiple times? So that's a very interesting theory to me. And I'm wondering how this will go. Like, will Paul Rudd stay around for, like, what's to come later? Could Stature take over, like, his daughter? And I'm obviously we'll get to Kang a bit more in Phase 6 because he's going to be a big thing now going forward. But I love that reveal. Also, Bill Murray's in the movie. So not confirmed who his role is yet. But yeah, no, moving along, we have Secret Invasion, which I've heard is very dark. It's basically Skrulls, if you remember those, invading Earth secretly, a rogue version. It starts, there was the footage shown. It has Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones as one of the main characters. So they're bringing all the GOT characters. And yeah, it looks like a very, very dark story. Like, they said it's more akin to Winter Soldier. More espionage level, and even darker than that to a degree, which I'm very excited about because I think Phase 4 has had a lot of comedy to a degree, and I think sometimes it's nice to have a bit of drama pushed in there, which I think would be really good to have. We can't really say much on that till we actually see more footage later on. Going again, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, obviously, I've been trying to push you guys to watch the Peacemaker TV show because there's a character in that show who's actually going to be starring in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Actually, DC actually helped give his audition tape to Marvel to actually star in that film, which I think is really interesting. I don't have the actor's name at the moment, unfortunately. I might edit the actor's name in. This is the actor's name, and then I'll cut that in. And he's going to be playing a character called the High Evolutionary. And he has very high ties to Rocket Raccoon. This is Rocket Raccoon's story. They've said this is this tone of this movie is very different to previous Guardians movies. And supposedly the footage actually shows a baby Rocket Raccoon, supposedly pre-modification. So obviously Rocket Raccoon sees himself as a monster. We're probably going to see, the trauma of that. And obviously Gamora is missing as well. So Peter's trying to deal with the ramifications of she's in the world now, but she doesn't know who he is.
Yeah, I'm always up for more Guardians. Enjoyed the first ones and enjoyed their appearances in, the main Marvel movies. So definitely gonna check this one out. I hadn't thought about the fact that Gamora won't know who Star-Lord is. That'll be interesting. But yeah, after seeing Thor: Love and Thunder and having them in it for about 10 minutes when the trailer kind of implied otherwise, definitely ready to see another movie with those guys in.
Yeah, no, definitely agree, definitely. And also, like, I'm loving the fact that James Gunn has come out and said, like, this is not the same Guardians turn, and it's the same. This is the final iteration of this Guardians team as well. So, I'm very intrigued to see how that plays out. Moving along to Echo. If you've seen the recent Hawkeye TV series, it introduced the first amputee deaf character into the MCU, and she actually has amazing fighting ability. I believe this was the actress's first role as well, but she is actually a amputee deaf actress, and she's actually gone on to have her own show, which actually links to Kingpin. So this is very interesting to see how this plays out. She's going to be getting a series there. Charlie Cox is actually, and Vincent D'Onofrio will be back for that series as well. There's rumors that the reason Charlie Cox is there is because he's looking for another superhero that he's been trying to find, someone he's connected with from the possible Netflix universe. So there's rumors it's Jessica Jones. So obviously Jessica Jones is a private investigator who links very well to She-Hulk and Daredevil.
So that'd be really cool to see them bring back some of the well-received characters from the Netflix show. Although everybody apart from Iron Fist, I imagine, might be back at some point. So I wonder if they'll bring back Luke Cage, because he was good.
So I know Mike Coulter is actually has his own show at the moment called Evil. So obviously, you know, actors could do multiple TV shows, but yeah, he was great, and I'd actually like to see the post setup of that narrative, because obviously I believe they've said this Kingpin is the same Netflix Kingpin. I'd like to see how Luke Cage continues on from how that ended, because that had a really interesting ending. Yeah, I'd love to see where that show goes, to be honest. And obviously, if we could get Jessica Jones back, I think Kristen Ritter was really great as that character. She was a very great powerhouse. Moving along to all the more TV shows, though, we're getting Loki. I don't think we can say much on this at the moment, but Loki Season 2, summer 2023. This is only summer 2023 we've got to so far. It's ridiculous next year. I don't think we could say much more else than this. I'm really interested to see how this plays out, obviously, especially after the end of Loki Season 1. Don't know how this is going to go. I'd actually finally love a reunion between Loki and Thor eventually. I think Thor needs that. I think he needs his brotherly hug. I think he needs that. Yeah. Moving along to the Marvels. So this is actually going to be Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, and Miss Marvel. The ramifications of Miss Marvel tie directly into the Marvels. Highly recommend the show, guys. I know you haven't seen it yet. It's only 6 episodes, but they do some very interesting things with her character, and the ending alone is insane to me. It has a lovely family dynamic to me. And it heavily goes into Pakistani Muslim culture and the partition that happened with the British colonization in the 1940s. And yeah, it's just a really great show. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. That's in July 28th, 2023. Moving on to the one I'm looking forward to is, as I mentioned before, some motherfuckers are just trying to skate uphill. I'm talking about Blade, people. Mahershala Ali is Blade. I don't think there's been other confirmed actors for this at the moment, but November 3rd, 2023. I know they start filming in October, I believe. No other actors confirmed at the moment, and there's rumors that other actors, like certain vampires, will be in it, but yeah.
Yeah, Blade will be a bit of an interesting change of tone, perhaps, to bring to Marvel. It'd be good to see, or interesting to see, what age rating this goes for. That's what immediately jumps into my head, because obviously the previous ones, yeah, they weren't, they didn't hold back so much. So yeah, I probably will check this one out. Looks good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Blade 1 and 2 were really good. Blade 3, not as much. And also, we'll actually get onto the adult content. I really shouldn't say it that way, but the more mature content a bit later on, because an animated show actually deals with that. But yeah, I can't really say much else because it's going to be filming soon. We're going to be getting Ironheart, Riri Williams, who's actually the successor to Iron Man. She's a teenage black character who's actually like a super genius. And she's actually in Wakanda Forever. You actually see her very briefly in the trailer. She's has the Iron Man moment of hitting the steel and the heart coming out and everything in that trailer. And I'm really looking forward to see how she comes into play, because I haven't read too much on her, but I've heard she's a really, really cool character.
I wonder if this is like a sequel character to Iron Man, if we're going to get to see all that, Stark technology come back, or if it's going to be more like kind of the old version of technology. I do wonder how they're going to handle that.
Well, I know there was a show, Armor Wars, with Don Cheadle, and I would have loved that Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell come back from Iron Man 2, stole all the technology during the blip, and yeah, it's him dealing with the ramifications, because I love Don Cheadle, especially those characters, and maybe they're going to combine the shows. That might be an idea, like actually condense these shows down a bit and expand them. Moving along to Agatha, Coven of Chaos. I guess it was Agatha's show all along, getting her own sequel show. Wonder how this is going to play out. Wonder if it'll be a prequel and a sequel to the Salem witch trials era, or I don't know. Just is Agatha going to be an anti-hero now?
Yeah, I don't know either, but this might surprise you possibly the one I'm looking forward to the most, or one of the most at least on this list, because I really enjoyed that character in WandaVision. She was really, I don't know, really funny and really, I don't know, just interesting to watch. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that they announced this.
Definitely intrigued to see where they go with that kind of stuff. I mean, they've already done Loki. Well, he's already established as an anti-hero, but definitely gives them more options if they're willing to focus on more of the more villainous characters, like DC has done already with like Joker. Be an interesting angle if Marvel goes a similar direction.
The other thing as well, it's another opportunity to bring some more magic characters in. Obviously, Scarlet Witch is a little bit. We're not really sure what's going to happen with her. And we have Doctor Strange doing his thing. So yeah, having more of the magic side of Marvel be cool to see.
Yeah, no, it's definitely right. Moving along to the one I'm most interested in, not because it's coming out, because we already knew the show was coming. It's Daredevil: Born Again, the new TV series that's coming out. It's not fully confirmed that this is a continuation from the Netflix series, or it's like a soft reboot. We'll probably hear more soon. But the thing that intrigues me the most is that this is 18 episodes long. Like every other Disney Plus show has only gone up to 9 episodes so far at maximum, and that was WandaVision. Most of them have been 6 episodes. Even Obi-Wan was 6 episodes. Now, a lot of people are thinking, might they take the Stranger Things approach, release batches of episodes at once? Because if this is the case, this will be over 18 weeks. Like, it's almost half a year. Well, yeah, it's almost half a year, like, of just Daredevil each week. Or maybe the episodes will be 30 minutes long. It's the balancing act. I do think for Daredevil, though, it'll be interesting. Maybe it'll be like a case a week. Again, we don't really know much else for this at the moment. We'll actually come back to Daredevil in a little bit when we talk about She-Hulk, because there's an interesting tidbit there. Going on to one of the most looking forward to is Captain America: New World Order. Obviously, this is Sam Wilson's Captain America now, not Steve Rogers. And I do love the fact that people were really critiquing Sam Wilson as Captain America, saying, not my Cap. And Chris Evans just actually came out on Twitter and just wrote the line, Sam Wilson is Captain America. That's literally just it. He is Captain America now. And I loved Falcon and Winter Soldier dealt with that main narrative of how America's not going to want a black Captain America and how that really plays out. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Now, I know Marvel like to play with their titles a lot, because I know Civil War was originally called Avengers Captain America Serpent Society, and they actually revealed the name on stage. They changed it on stage to Civil War. So I'm wondering New World Order might be a different title. But I am definitely hoping that it deals with the ramifications of Falcon and Winter Soldier and how that plays out. And maybe get some more Zemo. Speaking of Zemo, we're getting the Thunderbolts movie later on down the line. And I believe that's what's been playing out in these shows as we've gone along. And also Black Widow, because I believe Valentia, the Louis Dreyfus. My mouth is tongue tied today, but Julie Louise Dreyfus. I'm just not with it today, people. So she was actually in Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier. The character at the end with the US agent and giving him in his new uniform. She's basically. There's rumors that this is going to be like the Suicide Squad type team. In the Marvel, this will be the Marvel Suicide Squad. Now it's interesting they're called the Thunderbolts because obviously William Hurt passed away this year, I believe. Obviously, he was Thunderbolt Ross. I wonder if they'll name him in Legacy for that, or they'll recast him. I'd actually prefer them to name it in Legacy. We'll come to that in a little bit with Black Panther. But we don't really much else know than this. All I know is I want to see more Zemo dancing. If you know what I'm on about, you know what I'm on about. And I just really look forward to seeing what goes on there. But that is Phase 5, people, from February 17th, 2023 to July 26th or 28th.
That's
2024.
just Phase 5.
That is just Phase 5. And what's been announced, because we'll actually get onto that just now, to be honest, because when it comes to Phase 6, which I'm so surprised that they actually decided to announce this early on, to be honest. When we get to Phase 6, we have Fantastic Four, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, and Avengers: Secret Wars, which is 1 year. They all take place in 1 year. Now, it's interesting because Kang is actually linked to Fantastic Four quite a bit. Because in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the teleportation technology that Reed Richards uses is Kang technology. because obviously they use that technology in the TVA. So obviously we're going to link to that more. And actually, he's actually a descendant of Reed Richards. So that's actually interesting to have there. There's a rumor, like people are saying, it would be really interesting if the reason there's been no mutants in the MCU so far is because Kang has seen them as such a threat that he got rid of the mutants before they could even happen. And that way, when we get to the end, the next saga will be the mutant saga because Kang has been defeated. Now that would be an interesting twist, like to actually play that out, to be honest. Like the mutants get revealed that way.
I always thought that they were going to be revealed through the multiverse. Maybe they'd be coming through a universe where he's not suppressed them. I don't know.
I can confirm we have one mutant so far. So there is one mutant. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to.
What you mean.
Yeah, we have one mutant. Well, technically we have two because we know Deadpool's coming. And Namor is actually classed as the first mutant in the MCU. So Namor, who's the main villain of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, he's actually going to be the main villain. And he's actually, because he was created in 1939 before Aquaman, and they actually share the same storyline. Literally, like father is in a lighthouse, meets an Atlantean lover, they have a kid. It's literally the same storyline, and they have a half Atlantean child who's the king of the ocean. It's Marvel, it's Aquaman and Namor. But yeah, no. So with Marvel, though, I'm just loving the fact that they've done all these announcements. The thing I'm curious about is that when they showed that timeline for Phase 6, they only showed 3 films. Now we're getting 2 Avengers films in 1 year, 6 months apart. That timeline may change. They may extend it later on. We don't have any directors for it. Secret Wars is the one that people are excited for, is there? Because supposedly, I don't know too much about Secret Wars, but I've heard it's Endgame times 10. Like, it is, like, stupid, like, multiverse level. Like, everyone would be in it. Like, we're talking all the Spider-Man, which I'm really hoping Andrew Garfield comes back. Well, give me more Andrew Garfield. Less so Tobey Maguire. I love Tobey Maguire, but I want more Andrew Garfield. And I'd love to see the original Fantastic Four, the 2005 Fantastic Four, to come back in the movie. I think that'd be hilarious. Screw the 2015 one. But yeah, no, I'd love to see them come back. Just every Marvel character possible. That means also you could have Wesley Snipes come back as Blade. That would, like, 2 blades on one screen, like dual blade.
When you first announced, or not you announced, but when we first heard about a new Blade film, I thought, I wonder if he's going to come back for that, because he probably could still do it, I reckon. But yeah, that actually sounds super cool, because the main thing I'm excited about right now, or the main 2 things, is the potential to bring in the X-Men and the multiverse stuff that they have going on. So yeah, if it's all leading up to that, that would be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, so obviously Fantastic Four starts off Phase 6. Now, I thought it would have been interesting to end Phase 4 with the Fantastic Four, but obviously, you know, probably COVID and casting and directing, you know, we couldn't really do that. But, so when it comes to this, obviously they're all coming out in 1 year. I'm wondering if they're going to have the mutants or X-Men in Phase 6, but we don't know it because, as mentioned before, there are 6 to 7 properties on that timeline which had dates and they have not announced yet. I'm wondering with Disney D23 happening soon that we're going to get bigger announcements, because we don't have any Deadpool announcements yet. We don't, as I mentioned, we didn't have an Armor Wars announcement. We didn't have a lot of announcements that came from that, and I think they're saving a lot of that for their big event. And if they could pull that off, like drop so much more going into it, it will be absolutely insane. Also, imagine Deadpool fighting next to, I don't know, who could I say? You know, well, Black Panther, or whoever the next Black Panther is going to be. Like, that's going to be weird, but in stupid level insane. And we were all jaw dropped with Endgame. What could Secret Wars be? Just ridiculous.
A lot of potential there. Looking forward to it. But yeah, it's far away, so there's as you said, a lot more to potentially be announced yet.
3 years, not that far away, to be honest. But it's insane. I know the one thing that people have said is we're actually getting to this in our Black Panther discussion very soon. A big character, Doom, is a big part of this, and I'm really looking forward to see what happens there. Right, moving along, staying within the Marvel vein, though, people. Obviously, they did release some footage over the weekend, and obviously we had the She-Hulk trailer, which actually revealed more footage from the show. Now, this is going to be a comedy TV show. I don't know the actual episode run length, but it has Tatiana Maslany, Mark Ruffalo. We had like a whole bunch of other characters. We have Tim Roth coming back as Emil Blonsky. Benedict Wong Good old Wong appears in the trailer, which I thought was absolutely great. Again, I think the CGI looks a lot better now. Like the first trailer that they actually showed us, I think the VFX just weren't finished, and people were critiquing it. And I think like it just needed time. It just needed time to get the VFX good. And also, you know, I think with the character itself, she's not like they haven't done a female Hulk before. We've been used to the Hulk for so long now that, you know, with visual effects, it's going to be different to our eyes initially. But after you watch it for 20 minutes, I don't know how it's going to play out. Also, she's going to break the fourth wall, which now it's actually known. A lot of people think Deadpool is the person who was originally breaking the fourth wall. But in the comic book, She-Hulk was known for being a comedy comic book series. She broke the fourth wall a lot, and also she was very promiscuous. She was very, well, let's just say she was very horny a lot of the time. Like even in the 90s cartoon, like someone's gonna light my fire. She says lines like that. And in this trailer, in the trailers, there's been Tinder, her hopping on top of men. It's been part of a character, and I think that's absolutely great. Because the MCU hasn't actually delved into sexuality in any sense at all. And I think she's a very powerful female character who actually just wants to be a lawyer. She doesn't want to be a superhero. But also dealing with the ramifications of all these actions, I think it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it looks pretty good actually. Be nice to see more of. Is it Mark? Am I getting it right? Mark Ruffalo, did you say? The Hulk, basically, because I believe he can't star in his own films at the moment. So it'd be good to see him a bit more of a focus of a TV show instead. Obviously, it's not his show, but he's a main character in it. So yeah, looks good. Looks like a nice change in tone. Look forward to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Really, really looking forward to that, to be honest. And yeah, it just looks like a lot of fun. And one of my favorite actresses from The Good Place, Jamil Jalil, hopefully that's her name. She's one of the main villains in the show.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so it's really interesting, to be honest. But yeah, looks really fun. Really looking forward to seeing what plays out. And yeah, moving along, keeping in the DC vein, though. So obviously we have all these trailers coming out. Actually, yeah, at the end we need to mention it briefly. At the end of the She-Hulk trailer, a certain character appears. Now, this character, I was actually quite surprised they actually revealed in the trailer. So with the trailer itself, right here, we're just watching it now, they finally brought him in, people. He's confirmed finally for the She-Hulk show. We are talking Daredevil. It was kind of obvious that he was going to be brought into the show because at the end of the day, they're both lawyers. It's very interesting to see how this plays out. But what I'm very intrigued by is, if you look very closely in the trailer at his costume, it's not the red and black costume. It's the yellow and red, which is one of his original costume outfits. Now, I'm wondering if they're going to play into the whole he's got multiple outfits going into this time. So yeah, obviously we've got a very, very small tease of him. Also, I do love the fact, though, that they've not fully confirmed he's in the shit because they just cut it off just before you get to his head. But you see those Billy clubs, and you're like, oh, that's our Daredevil. That's our Daredevil. But yeah, people, right. Moving along, keeping in that Marvel vein there, we're going to quickly shunter along to, well, probably one of the big things, which is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. This trailer looks stupendous. Like, it just looks insane. Like, I feel that with this movie closing out Phase 4, obviously this is dealing with the ramifications of Chadwick Boseman's passing, and I believe they are heavily pushing into Black Panther's death in the film as well. So in the trailer, obviously, I believe we might see a funeral procession. There's a Chadwick Boseman Black Panther mural. There's rumors that his character actually does die from cancer in the universe, which will be very interesting if they play that out. But it's like, I think like a lot of people are asking for T'Challa to be recast. But I think if you have these characters permanently die in comic books, like Tony Stark did, Natasha Romanoff, having a character so important as this die and how it plays out, and obviously in the ramifications of that with the city itself, and who's going to be the next Black Panther, because no one knows. Like, what will happen going forward. And obviously this also introduces Namor, the Submariner, as he's called, the Atlantean prince. And there's a big rivalry between Wakanda and Atlantis, like major rivalry. And obviously, like, I know there's going to be a lot of comparisons that the Atlanteans look like the Na'vi from Avatar, like they're blue people basically. But there's a line in this trailer where Angela Bassett, she gives this like amazing one line, I've lost my entire family. What more do you want? And just like such a powerhouse of a line that she gives such gravitas to it, and it just shows the power that goes within this trailer alone. I think it's one of the best trailers I've seen in quite a while. To be honest, I don't know why a lot of people online have got really emotional watching this trailer. To be honest, because it had a lot of like the music was on point. And as right at the end, you see that small Black Panther tease of who's going to be the next Black Panther. It doesn't tell you who. I'd actually prefer it if they don't tell you until the movie's out. I think they should play it out. Who's going to be the Black Panther in the movie? Is it going to be Shuri, T'Challa's sister? Is it going to be Nakia, his love interest? Is it going to be Okoye, obviously one of the Dora Milaje? Or is it going to be M'Baku?
Yeah, it is the right call, I think, to have it basically not recast and go with a different character as the Black Panther, as long as that's something that happens in the comics, or even not, perhaps, as long as they can do it right. The only thing that stood out to me when you mentioned this is going to end Phase 4 is that, I don't know, for me, as a admittedly more of a casual fan, up until recently, I suppose, it feels odd to not end it on a big kind of crossover film in a way. I mean, maybe it is, but it looks quite focused, this one.
So there is actually a rumor. A lot of people are discussing that there's a third nation without who has a big rivalry with Wakanda and Atlantis, and they have a big connection, and that is the country of Latveria. That is Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom. Now, a lot of people are rumoring, is Doctor Doom behind this entire thing? He's manipulating these two nations against each other, because you see in the trailer that there are military personnel going after Wakandans in the trailer from it looks like. Now, a lot of people could think, oh, this could just be like the US military or something, but what if it's a case of Doom manipulating this entire sequence, and we literally end Phase 4 in a post-credit scene with Doctor Doom just coming onto the screen and just be like, and now my time begins. The Age of Doom begins. Like, that would be an amazing way to end it. And like, if he had a part in killing Black Panther, like he was the reason. Like, what happens within nations? Political power. Poison is a big part of like political conquest. What if he poisoned Black Panther? That could be a big part of it. And having Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom is I like to class him as an Omega level threat, like a top tier villain, like Thanos, above Thanos level in my opinion.
He's a big name, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like he'd be an amazing part of that, to be honest. So yeah, right, people. So we're gonna have to quickly shunter along now, because obviously we're getting along now. So obviously, skipping along from, we're gonna talk about it very very briefly, but obviously they announced more of the animated Marvel TV shows. We're getting our first look at the What If Season 2. We're going to be getting Spider-Man Freshman Year, and we are going to be getting the X-Men 97 animated series, which is a continuation from the original series, not a reboot, which I think is absolutely amazing. We're also going to be getting Spider-Man Freshman Year, which is the 6 months before the movies. There's going to be interesting because Norman Osborn is introduced in that. Obviously, he wasn't in the actual movie, so wondering how that plays out. The one big thing from taking away from this, though, is that the Marvel Zombies TV series is going to be the first TVMA animated series. As you mentioned before, Chaz, about Blade being, more mature, having an animated adult TV series, I think we could, and Deadpool is going to be adult as well. I think we are starting to get into that territory now.
Yeah, I actually quite like that episode of What If with the zombies, so I'm pretty excited to see a whole series based on it. And if I remember correctly, it left off in a pretty dark place, right? So yeah, I'll be interested to see where that goes from what they set up in the original episode.
Yeah, so I know we're going to be getting Shang-Chi, Jimmy Woo, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Hawkeye, Yelena, Katie, and Red Guardian as the heroes. But the weird thing is the opposite side. They have Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Abomination, Captain Marvel, and Captain America. That is an unbalanced side, in my opinion. That is a stupidly unbalanced side. But we'll see how it plays out. And it's an entire series. So we'll see how that plays out. We don't really know much else, but I'm really looking forward to see what happens there.
Quickly, check that one out for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right, quickly moving along to DC. So obviously we had the first trailer for Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. Loved the first movie, thought it was absolutely fun. I thought like when DC was going into its darker times, I thought this was absolutely great. This actually deals with the ramifications of actually all his entire family having powers now. Still having like small hints of the Snyderverse in there. But I'm loving the fact that Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren are the bad guys in this movie. I think that's absolutely brilliant, to be honest. I think that's absolutely funny. Zachary Levi still killing it with the role. I think he's still perfect for the acting choices of Shazam, adult Billy Batson. But yeah, no, again, the trailer just looks fun. I think, a lot of people saying this just looks more like a generic superhero movie, but we've had a lot of serious movies recently. We've had a lot of comedy movies. I think it's nice to find a movie that strikes a nice balance. To be honest, I think that's just great, and we'll probably see more of this as we go along. I believe it's coming out a bit later next year. No, I believe summer next year or early next year. I know. Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren are playing the daughters of Atlas, so it's going into the Greek mythology more. And seeing Shazam punch a dragon with a bus is actually quite funny, as he mentions in the trailer. Again, just looks really, really fun. Right, quickly moving along though, we had a bit more footage from the Black Adam movie. Dwayne Johnson obviously coming into the crowd as Black Adam, actually in costume. I thought, well, he's a showman, so he's going to do that. We only got 1 minute of footage to the public. I know they showed more at Comic Con, so we can't really go much into that. But the movie is coming out in October, and I know someone questioned him about Henry Cavill being a Superman still. And I know Dwayne Johnson's response was it depends on who's playing Superman. So that's an interesting response. There wasn't too much from DC, to be honest. There was only 2 movies they were only really showing compared to Marvel. It was a very interesting balancing act, to be honest.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I don't know what their approach is going to be going forward, and I wonder if they're going to just try to go for quality over quantity. Maybe that's all they've got the resources for. It's clear that Marvel, has got the money to throw at a hell of a lot of projects now. So be interesting to see how DC responds. Obviously, they're still trying to. To me, it feels like they're still trying to get a really good formula that works for them. Maybe they're starting to do that a little bit more recently with Suicide Squad. But yeah, I'm not so into DC, but if they start kicking out some consistent quality stuff that's just good, enjoyable films, maybe I'll start checking it out. I do want to see Suicide Squad.
So yeah, no, you haven't seen the latest movie, have you yet? You haven't seen the Suicide Squad movie yet?
It's on my ever-growing list.
Yes, the ever-growing list. And also, I do recommend, as soon as you watch Suicide Squad, go watch Peacemaker afterwards. It's one of the best superhero TV shows I've watched in ages. And when I heard that John Cena was getting his own TV show, I thought, really? And then I watched it. I went, oh no, this is fucking brilliant. So good. And I know James Gunn is working on multiple DC projects now, as well as the Peacemaker season 2. And yeah, I just thought it was absolutely great. Obviously, they've got Joker 2. We're definitely getting the Batman 2 at some point. We're probably going to get a trilogy of those movies. And I think and obviously we're getting the Blue Beetle movie, Batgirl. We're getting loads of those as well. Superman and Lois is killing it on TV. And yeah, I think if DC focuses their pathways, don't try to be Marvel, do your own thing, they could really kill it, to be honest. And I know Dwayne Johnson's going to have a big part of it going forwards.
Yeah, it feels to me, looking from the outside in, that they kind of tried to emulate Marvel a little bit for a few years, and that kind of didn't work out for them. So yeah, maybe if they try to do their own thing, like you said, they'll kind of carve their way in and make a bit more of a splash.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Right, hopping on from DC to the stars, people. So Superman's flying out to the stars to see that Star Trek. So obviously, with Star Trek Picard coming into its final season, I've been a bit lukewarm on that series, to be honest. It was good in the first season. It was very mediocre, and I actually didn't finish the second season because it did this whole time travel aspect, which I know Star Trek does, but it seemed like COVID may have hit the production quite a bit, and also a lot of the characters I was very connected with. I won't spoil it, but yeah, I was a bit frustrated with that season. But I know the final season is bringing back the actual original next gen cast. So obviously you're getting LaForge, Worf, Riker, Crusher. You're getting all of them back. And yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes. I know there's questions of would they do another movie afterwards with all the crew together? I'd be interested to see what happens there, because obviously I believe Nemesis wasn't the best received back in the day, over 20 years ago. I didn't mind it. I watched it again recently, but again, this is a very, very small character teaser trailer, just seeing the characters again. It's just nice to see them all back in this role. I know there have been rumors that they are going to face a Khan level threat. Now, you can't say that without, producing it, because, you say Khan and that's sort of like, the Darth Vader of the, I hate to use that analogy, but he's the biggest threat to the Star Trek universe in a lot of ways, apart from the Borg and everything. But again, really interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I haven't watched this. I watched pretty much all of the original series on Next Generation, and yeah, something about this show just doesn't quite land with me. I think it's the tone. It just seems different to the original series. Feels a bit too kind of dark, like it takes itself a bit too seriously. That's all I wanted to add in that regard. Like the original was sort of like a bit more adventure-y, I suppose.
A bit more lighthearted. I actually did have some lighthearted. I remember bits in the movie, like in Insurrection, the movie, where at the beginning they're just having the ship battle with Data, and they're just singing like this old shanty as they're trying to go along and everything. It's like very lighthearted, and I thought it was really great. And also, obviously, we're not getting Brett Spiner back as Data because obviously Data died in a Nemesis back in the day, and yeah, I think with Picard, I think if it plays out going into its final season, if it plays out quite well, I'll be happy. But I would have wanted a bit more from the second season, a bit more cohesion throughout them. And yeah,
it feels a little bit like a waste opportunity to make something a bit more, I don't know, I guess like the original. But there you go.
I mean, yeah, obviously, if this is going to be the final portrayal of Picard, you want that really. Like when Kirk went out back in Generations, I thought that was a good send off to his character. And obviously, I really enjoyed Star Trek Discovery. I know a lot of people hated it, but when it went into its third season and did its own thing, I thought it was brilliant. The one thing I'm looking for, the one show I am loving though, is Star Trek New Worlds. I think it's perfect Star Trek at the moment. It's exactly what people want. It is 10 out of 10, top tier. It's like the old Star Trek. It is week to week adventures with a small underlying story connected from Discovery, because obviously it's about Captain Pike. I think the cast is absolutely beautiful. The one thing I'm loving is because I'm loving a certain animated show called Star Trek Lower Decks, which is a joke on the whole. The Lower Decks crew are just not appreciated by the command crew, and the command crew are dickheads essentially.
I'll be honest, it's the only Star Trek show that I've seen, and I very much like the Lower Decks. It's good fun. It's great satire on a whole red shirts kind of thing.
When you say the only Star Trek show you've seen, do you mean ever?
Yeah, well, I mean, my sister used to watch a lot of Star Trek as a kid, but like Next Generation back in the day. But I never really watched it myself.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I watched the earlier season. I watched like the first one, Next Generation and Voyager and Deep Space Nine a little bit. The only reason I ask is because it must stand on its own fairly well if someone who's literally never seen Star Trek still enjoys it.
Well, I like my animated comedy, so Lower Deck kind of fits in with that remit.
I think it's really good because the show does really well in lore building as well. Like it actually takes a lot of lore from the actual Next Generation series and like all the other stuff, and also it rips into a lot of the characters quite heavily and funnily, to be honest. But there's a confirmation that season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds would have a crossover with Lower Decks. Now, this is confirming that the animated characters will appear in live action. So this is Jack Quaid from The Boys, obviously voicing the main character Boimler, will appear in live action in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. But also, Anton Mount's Christopher Pike will appear in, as he calls it, extremely muscular animated form in Lower Decks. Obviously, there's going to be time travel because these takes place in different time periods. But I'm loving the fact that Tawny Newsome, who was in she is in the Space Force TV series. She was the astronaut, the female astronaut in that TV series. She's absolutely hilarious, and she basically said, she came on stage, she was just like, "Yeah, baby, I'm gonna be in that show, baby." Like it's like this whole voice. But I love the fact that the fact it's got to the point where the animated shows are crossing over in Star Trek with the live action, and vice versa. I think it's absolutely going to be absolutely brilliant, to be honest. And also, there's rumors that Deep Space Nine will be involved in the heavily in the third season of Lower Decks, because it's actually in the trailer. So yeah, moving along, people coming out of Star Trek into Game of Thrones. So obviously, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon comes out in about a month's time, actually. And like The Witcher, we are going to be getting time jumps. multiple time jumps, because obviously House of the Dragon, War of the Dragons takes place over many, many years, and I'm just looking really forward to the show. I've heard there's like almost 20 dragons in this show, which is going to be insane. Like dragon riders, like.
Okay, so 2 questions: is it George R. R. Martin? Is he involved? And 2, are the original writers not involved?
Right, so George R. R. Martin. I believe this is actually based on a George R. R. Martin book. So actually wrote it. And no, the DB Wise and the other one are not involved in this at all. This is like completely showrunners different things. So co-showrunner Ryan Condler, I'm just looking from IGN here, stated there'll be several jumps throughout the story. So we're telling a story of a generational war. We set everything up. By the time that the third sword stroke falls, you understand all the players. Obviously, we'll see a 10-year time jump between the show. Maybe another one as that. But obviously, Matt Smith's going to be in the show. Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy, and all these other lovely characters. And I'm really interested to see what happens. Oh, yes. So it's obviously, this is based on the time period of the Targaryen Civil War or the Dance of the Dragons. And the trailer alone looks insane. Like, I think it looks brilliant. And I'm wondering how this is going to play out with a certain other property we'll actually get to near the end, because it comes out a few weeks later. But I think Game of Thrones has the upper hand at the moment because it's still fresh in people's minds. And I wonder, and people are going to be curious, especially how the previous show ended, which is a bit frustrating for people.
Wouldn't it be cool if like this was like a redemption like series almost? Like they could, make enough of a splash to be like, actually, Game of Thrones is something to look forward to again. And as you said, the time period with the fall of the House Targaryen and seeing them in their power, yeah, that's got some potential to be really cool if they combine all the political maneuvering of what we're used to in early Game of Thrones with, as you said, a lot of dragons and a lot of spectacle. Yeah, it's got potential.
Yeah, and also like I know I don't have it 100% confirmed, but we are getting the Jon Snow sequel TV series that Kit Harington has actually been working on since the show finished with the rights. So I do love the fact that he's really passionate about getting. I believe he's passionate about getting his stuff off the ground. I don't know how the fuck they're going to pull that off, because he goes like north of the wall at the end. So I wonder if it'd be his redemption story, or like what happened there, because what can really go on, because the White Walkers are gone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. To be fair, in the series, he was revived, and ultimately, because of the writing in that series, it felt a bit pointless that he was brought back to life. I know he killed. Well, I know what happened in the last episode, but
I still wanted him to be burnt by a dragon and then shock and horror, like to reveal he's a Targaryen, shock and horror. He comes out buck-ass naked with a flaming sword after being hit by a dragon's fire. That would have been the best fucking thing ever.
That would have been a much better reveal than basically everybody just blabbing. Yep.
And yeah, I just thought it'd been great. I still love the, Arya took out the Night King in the end. I did love the fact that was there. Again, I don't care about spoilers now. People, it's been a few years now. If you haven't watched it, you haven't watched it. But like, yeah, that because a bunch of us got together, watched that final season, and it had a lot of promise going into it. But by the end, we got to the end and we were all very frustrated at the end, like very, very frustrated. And you could tell it was rushed. And I know HBO did, I believe, say they offered to give them 2 more seasons, which is even frustrating, even more. So frustrating. But right, people, moving along to another TV show, which is coming out in a few weeks' time, is Neil Gaiman's Netflix's The Sandman. Now, this is a passion project by Neil Gaiman, and is actually working very closely with Netflix to actually develop this series. This show looks very weird, but very interesting. Obviously, it's based on the character Morpheus or Dream, starring a lot of actors we know, like Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones as Brianna Tarth as Lucifer, Jenna Coleman as Constantine, a descendant of Constantine, I believe, and Stephen Fry is going to be at Mark Hamill as well. Again, this is based on a very, very popular graphic novel series. It just looks weird, though, but fun.
Did you say Stephen Fry and Mark Hamill were both in it?
They are, yes.
I'm sold.
Yeah, and also, I won't tell you the character who Mark Hamill's playing, but it's definitely a Mark Hamill character, I'll tell you that for sure. It's very interesting to see what is going to play out here. And again, I just think because also there was the Lucifer TV series that was on multiple networks and Netflix at the end. and that originally was Neil Gaiman's Lucifer, but they changed it to not be connected, so they got a different Lucifer now with Gwendolyn Christie. Again, this comes out August 19th or August 5th, so in a few weeks' time. We'll probably do a review for this series, depending on how many episodes there are and how long the episodes are. Stranger Things level, probably won't. Hopefully, there won't be that. But yeah, again, this just looks like a very weird, fun, interesting TV series, and hopefully, it doesn't get cancelled after one season. Because I swear to God, if that happens, I'll be pissed. I think this won't. I think there's a lot of hype around this show, and hopefully, it plays out quite well. Because I don't think you get Neil Gaiman in for one season of this, and I think, yeah, I really look forward to seeing how it plays out. So yeah, right. Moving along, people, to another property. We're just getting into adaptation. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. This looks fucking fun. It just looks like so much fun. How do you guys feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, having run my own D&D campaign, which is basically comedy, although with a lot of grey like morality. This looks pretty interesting to me. It's not quite what I expected. I kind of expect it took me a little while to get around to watching trailers. I thought, this is going to be naff, but actually seemed quite entertaining. A bunch of thieves essentially are your heroes, and I like the grey morality of that in and of itself. Try to basically defeat an evil that they had a hand in accidentally bringing to fore. So it's going to be an interesting take on whole D&D stuff.
Yeah, I think what makes this stand out a little bit is, like you said, the tone. It seems like it's going to be fun. I think, there was a little bit of an attempt to make more serious fantasy films, in 20 or 30 years ago, and none of them really, made much traction. And there was an attempt again with, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and, Polar Express and that kind of thing, Golden Compass. But, yeah, this is a bit of a more light-hearted tone, and I think that's probably what they need to break into the mainstream a little bit more, which is probably what they want to try and do.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's actually confirmed that they are going to be the characters from the original 1980s animated series. They are going to fight them in the movie, which I think is absolutely brilliant. To be honest, I think that's absolutely fun. Also, when I heard Michelle Rodriguez was involved, she's the muscle character, right? That's kind of obvious.
Yeah, I like that they've got the female, I assume, barbarian.
Yeah.
The druid, I actually was just like, oh, there's a druid. And also, I just noticed in the trailer, I missed it the first time, is it a gelatinous cube? I can't remember what the enemy's called. James, you'll know.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome to see that. And they got a mimic in there too, so yeah. Oh, and also, yeah, the bit at the end with him doing the little bard dance, I had a bit of a chuckle at that.
Oh, if we get a musical number with Chris Pine, yeah. So obviously we have Chris Pine as the Bard, Michelle Rodriguez as the Barbarian, Reggie Jean Page from Bridgerton and the recent Grey Man movie as the Paladin, Justice Smith from Detective Pikachu and Jurassic World as the Sorcerer, Sophia Lillis from It, the It movies as the Druid, Hugh Grant, which I thought was hilarious casting, as the Rogue. And a bunch of other characters. Again, yeah, this just looks like a bunch of fun. And also, the actual directors of this movie are the people who wrote the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. So they actually, yeah. So this, so we're just looking. Obviously, we have a shared page up here. But he had a story credit on the Flash. He wrote the Game Night movie and he directed the Game Night movie. He wrote Spider-Man Homecoming. He did the Vacation movie, Horrible Bosses. So he's actually got a pretty good background, to be honest. And also he was in the Bones TV series quite a bit. But yeah, no, again, this just looks like a bunch of fun. Really, yeah. So obviously got a picture of man. Yeah, this is we got a picture of the original 1983, 1986, 1983 to 1985 animated series. And looking at some of the pictures here now, if you Google it, people, them going to be fighting them is hilarious. And if they have a tiny pony that they have to fight, I think that'd be absolutely great. Again, just looks like a bunch of fun, and I think that's just what people need at the moment. They don't need it's all good to go serious sometimes, but the fact we're getting this in March next year, we'll probably be hopefully fully out COVID by then, and just go to the cinema, have a great time with this movie. And if we get a nice Bard song by Chris Pine, who can we deny that? Right, moving on to our final two things, both Keanu Reeves related. We'll start with the less one very quickly. So obviously, Keanu Reeves has a comic book series called Berserker coming out. It's actually been confirmed that he's getting a 2-season anime run, courtesy of Boom Studios. The man only known as B is half mortal, half god, cursed to compel to violence, even at the sacrifice of his sanity. But after wandering the world for centuries, B may have finally found a refuge working for the US government to fight the battles too violent and too dangerous for everyone else. So basically, Keanu Reeves. In exchange for B, will be granted the one thing he desires, the truth about his endless blood-soaked existence and how to end it. I know he's been working on this Kickstarter for a while, which raised more than $1.4 million. And so interesting, he's getting a 2-season anime order for this from Boom Studios. Keanu Reeves is really expanding like this. And so obviously Boom Studios is going to be working with Netflix for this. And we look forward to seeing how this plays out. Right, moving on to our final thing there, which I know Chaz is excited for. I know he enjoys this. Is that, are you ready, Mr. Wick? Yeah, I kind of think I am. Like, good old John Wick 4, people. John Wick 4, they released the first teaser trailer for John Wick Chapter 4, or simply John Wick 4. It doesn't have a subtitled name, but again, this just looks like insanity now. It's got to that point in this film series where it's just for the action. It's so for the action now. And I believe, I know John Wick 5 is already in the works as well. I don't know if they filmed that as well, but I know that's in the works as well. So obviously Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Ian McShane, Lance Reddick, who's just been in the recent Resident Evil T series. We'll talk about that in another episode at some point, people. The ones I'm excited by is Donnie Yen, Bill Skarsgård, Pennywise, Hero Georgie. Pennywise is in it himself, Scott Adkins, and Clancy Brown is in it as well. We didn't really get much from this trailer, but obviously I believe it's him dealing with the higher levels of this organization that they are fighting. It just looks like a bunch of fun, stupid, heavy action fun.
Yeah, pretty much every John Wick movie is just like you go in, you enjoy the action, you see how they can kind of one up the last and what other creative sequences they can come up with. So I hope this is more of the same. It'll be interesting to see how John Wick copes with being fully out and fully out of the organization by himself. I'm looking forward to it. I didn't know there was going to be a fifth one though.
And a TV series.
Okay. The one thing that concerns me is I hope that they don't I hope it ends at a good point, a good, well-rounded point.
I hope I hope he gets his happy ending. To be honest, I think he needs that. Just a nice beach where he could just shoot things in peace. No fighting at all.
With the dog, yeah.
Maybe
Hopefully
a cat as well.
Yeah, give him a cat. Yeah, of course, and a car. For good measure.
Give him it all. No, because obviously they're doing the TV show The Continental, which is a prequel series with Ian McShane's character. Obviously deals with the whole organization, which I'm very excited by, because there's this really rich history with this film series, which I'd be really interested to dive into more. Again, people, right? So, right.
Breathe, Nate. Breathe.
Yes, Jesus, yeah, that was a lot of news for a quarter of the news we got from Comic Con, to be honest, and I believe we went over a bit on the Marvel stuff, but just because there was so much Marvel to get through, at least that was half the show. But again, how did you guys find it? How did you guys find the news items from Comic-Con, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of Marvel stuff, majority of it is now Marvel stuff. Marvel are just dominating cinema and TV at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. I pretty much already said that. I'm just gonna watch the stuff that interests me out of Marvel. But yeah, there's some cool reveals. Nice to see a trailer for John Wick. Surprise hit with the D&D film. Definitely gonna go see that. And some pretty excited as well for the new Game of Thrones and new Lord of the Rings TV shows. I don't know when I'm going to watch them. Maybe in 2 years' time you can ask me about them when I'm finally done. But looks pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, most definitely. We didn't actually fully get into Lord of the Rings, people, but yeah, that trailer just looked stupidly great. It looked so fun. The budget was definitely there in that trailer. We can't really say much else to that because we've already spoke about pretty much before. But obviously, we're probably going to be getting we are getting D23 in a few weeks' time. So we'll probably get even more Marvel announcements. And actually, we'll probably get a lot of Star Wars announcements as well. We'll probably get a lot of the TV shows announcements there, which I'm really looking forward to. Actually, there was a Star Wars announcement recently with the Acolyte TV series with some casting there, but there'll probably be more information with that later on. Right, people, that is it. That is the end of the episode. I hope you've enjoyed all this Comic-Con news that's come out. No doubt every other podcast has been talking about it in the world because there's been so much to go on about. It's been absolutely insane to talk about. It's been absolutely insane to actually just try and comprehend all this information. And like the amount of stuff I had to squash into this episode, just try and figure out what we could do. We had a huge list of news and we had to filter out what we actually wanted to talk about because there was so much. There's even like Doctor Who come to Disney Plus, but we'll probably mention that in next week's episode when we got a bit of breathing down time. But yes, right, people, as you know, with those special endings, I believe next week we're going to be getting into some more topical debates, which I think which will be interesting to do. We're also working on a few special treats ahead, which will be really fun. But again, right, so it's time for the ending, people. It's time for the end of the show. And you know the spiel now, people. You know the spiel that comes with this. Right. If you have any questions or queries or compliments or, any Marvel, DC, anything that Comic-Con that you'd enjoyed and we didn't talk about, maybe drop us something to there. But also, now you can find us at nmipodcast.com. You could go to nmipodcast.com, find links to our buttons there. The website is currently under construction. You can actually drop us a question there as well, which will directly feedback to us there. Also, if you'd like to give us any questions to feedback@nmicast.com so feedback@nmicast.com or nmipodcast@outlook.com. We're currently working on the email structure there, but if you want to feel us anything there, so it's feedback@nmicast.com or nmipodcast@outlook.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear, we'd love to get into some conversational topics with you all next week. Right. So obviously, check out our Spotify, Instagram, NMI-when you need more info. Search for our socials by going to Linktree @NMIcast. You can find our Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, all of those on there. I'd like to thank Chaz and James for joining me again today. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, no worries. As usual. Thank you, man.
Right. That's it, people. Right. Look forward to seeing you all next week for episode 31. Getting to that definite midlife crisis point where I have to buy a motorcycle. But yes, people, you stay safe, everyone, and we will see you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.